just asked an autonomous AI to destroy humanity. And this is what happened. The AI, fittingly named Chaos GPT, was even placed in continuous mode, which prompted a danger warning saying that it may cause the AI to run forever and carry out actions that one would not normally authorize. Bloody great start. But what's even more terrifying given what's happening in the world right now, the first thing that it started doing was researching nuclear weapons, implying that the easiest way for humanity to go extinct is to incite nuclear war.
What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, who watching the videos entirely, commented down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Hurtling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard. 1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has one. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means one can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker.
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate. Which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
Tell me down below, man. I think the longest I went was a whole day, probably.
Most scary urban legends, part 9. This is La Mala Ora. She is a wicked spirit from New Mexico and wanders on roads at night. She attacks those who walk alone, and she is more feared than the devil itself. She first appears as a large black lump, constantly moving and changing shapes. She can also change size rapidly, growing larger or smaller. Anybody who makes eye contact with her gets driven insane. She also hypnotizes and paralyzes people who encounter her at night. When she attacks, she rushes at you at great speed, then wraps around you and suffocates you till you die. If you ever see her in human form, it means somebody you know or love is going to die. So if you see La Mala Ora and something terrible doesn't happen to you, it's gonna happen to somebody you love.
La Mala Ora, where's she located at, man? We need to know.
How long a human would survive in Earth's eras? Precambrian era. Less than 5 minutes.
Makes sense. We all underwater. Right.
Paleozoic era. Hours to a day. Mesozoic era. Minutes to a few hours.
All those dinos we cook, buddy.
Cambrian period. Seconds to minutes. Cenozoic era. Days to weeks with skills and luck.
More to the modern era.
Quaternary period. Months or more.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party-loving underachiever in school, but a brutal mugging outside a karaoke bar left him with a severe concussion. This injury turned him into a math whiz. When Derek Amato was 39, he dove into a swimming pool, hitting his head. This led to a concussion and 35% hearing loss. Following this, Derek began to suddenly visualize piano keys and was suddenly able to play piano like a pro. In 2015, Ben McMahon was in a car crash and ended up in a coma for a week. Upon Upon awakening, he was speaking flawless Chinese, a language that he had only learned the basics of in his youth. Tony Ciceria was struck by lightning while using a phone booth. Within days, he developed a passion for music, which he didn't have previously. After trying his hands at the piano, he soon became a popular music artist and has composed several of his own melodies.
Wow, man. Real life superpower. They said has some freaking hero origins, bro. The Chinese one was the most craziest one to me, man. Waking up and just speaking fluent Chinese. Where he at? Someone out there?
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A man's mother passed away in a car accident when he was 6 years old. When his 2-year-old daughter saw a picture of her grandmother for the first time, she laughed. He asked her, "What's so funny?" She looked at him and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." A man's 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while. She turned back to her dad and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." A woman and her 4-year-old son were out in public when all of a sudden he starts rubbing on her belly and talking to it. She asked what he was doing, and he said, "I'm talking to the baby." She informed him politely that she was not pregnant, and then he said, "There is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you." A woman's 5-year-old asked when he was going to be 23 years old. She told him in 18 years. He replied, "Well, I hope I don't die again because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven." Follow for more of the
Reincarnation? Maybe you got some past
Hey, what's
memories.
up? These are horrifying facts, part 1. In June of 1972, a woman who resembled a mannequin walked into the hospital wearing only a bloody gown. Although the lady was covered in blood, she stayed expressionless, but her face was perfectly intact and she had the same dexterity and fluidity as any normal person would. But it wasn't until what happened later that caused people to start to vomit and flee the scene. When she was rushed through the emergency room, they thought the best thing they could do was restrain her with straps, and she didn't fight back. After saying nothing for hours, the lady finally turned her head and looked at the male doctor and whispered something quietly. The nurses then fled and filled the hospital with screams of terror when they realized her teeth weren't normal and that she had razor-sharp, animal-like teeth. When all the nurses cleared the room, the male doctor stayed, and what she whispered was, "I am God."
That sounds something like out of a scary
Facts that
story.
can save your life. The last one is important, so make sure to save this video. When about to get into an Uber, never ask, "Are you Uber?" Instead, ask who they are picking up. If a whale swallows you whole, curl up in a ball. This will make you smaller and prevent you from being torn apart. Did you know you can see who your worst enemy is? Your secret hater is the first person who appears when you click share and click more. If an alligator grabs you, shove your fingers into its nose. This will break the seal that alligators need to breathe and will force them to release you. 1 out of 10 people share the same cell phone as you. Comment down below what cell phone you're using and find out how many people have the same one as you. By the way, this is mine. If there's a nuclear explosion, lay face down on the floor. Put your thumbs in your ears and your fingers covering your eyes. Since you're laying down, the shockwave will most likely pass over you. Before we get to the last fact, support me by clicking the follow button for more interesting facts every day. If you wake up in the middle of the night and your house smells like gas, do not turn on the light. A spark from a switch can blow up your entire house.
Let's take a look at this photo. This was the final picture found on the phone of Jennifer Grime, and it's also the man that police have definitively ruled was most likely the one that ended her. Jennifer was ambitious, she was adventurous, she went on this solo cross-country trip where she would be visiting different campsites. She actually made her way all the way to the Blue Creek Cavern campsite, but she almost immediately went back to the ranger station because she wanted to report this man, this strange man that she saw watching her while she was swimming in the lake. But she does end up kind of laughing this off as if it's not a huge deal, and she eventually returns to her campsite alone. But that same man that she reported is who we believe was seen in the final picture. When she had never contacted her family, rangers eventually went searching where they found her brutalized at her campsite. Her phone was recovered, which showed that...
Man, that's a scary story, bro. You gotta be careful when you're out camping. You never know who you're gonna encounter in those woods. Bro, it looks like he's in a haunted tunnel. I know y'all seen those videos on YouTube, bro. That looks like it, man, right there.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck.
Not me.
And there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not... Please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom. Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb? Yet again.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Ronaldo Dogsa, a politician in the Philippines, took a picture of his family right before he was assassinated on New Year's Day in 2011. The man in the back shot him twice while his family was forced to watch. The smiling man in this photo is Nazi Joseph Goebbels, who is in a 1933 League of Nations meeting, and in the next photo, his expression completely changes. His expression changes from cheerful to hatred because someone told him that the photographer was of Jewish descent. This seemingly normal photo shows three men in judo attire. The man on the right, however, is Osama bin Laden, the terrorist responsible for the 9/11 attacks on New York City. The girl wearing the veil is Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped for 9 months by the man on the far right. This photo was taken at a party the kidnapper crashed with Elizabeth, and she was forced to wear this veil at all times to keep her from being recognized in public.
The 3 largest birds in the world. Number 3. The ostrich, native to Africa, is the heaviest and largest bird in the world. It can measure up to 2.7 meters in height and weigh up to 150 kilograms. Despite its imposing weight, the ostrich is capable of running at speeds of 72 kilometers per h, making it exceptional among birds. It cannot fly, but it has strong legs that allow it to cover long distances quickly. Number 2. The cassowary, also known as the helmeted cassowary, is native to the tropical forests of New Guinea and northern Australia. This impressive bird can reach up to 2 meters in height and weigh up to 60 kilograms. Recognizable by its bony helmet on its head and its shiny blue skin, it is considered one of the most dangerous birds in the world due to its sharp claws that can inflict serious injuries. Number 1. Oh yes, before we continue, support me by subscribing and liking my video. The wandering albatross is famous for having the largest wingspan among all living birds, reaching up to 3.4 meters. These majestic seabirds spend most of their lives flying above the oceans, traveling thousands of kilometers without landing. Although they are lighter compared to the ostrich and the cassowary, their ability to glide for hours is a sight to behold.
Some more creepy submechanophobia and thalassophobia images that creep me out super bad. Once again, anchor chains should not be as scary as they are going into the ocean like that. My stomach dropped when I saw this photo on Pinterest. Do you know what that is? Those are wartime ships' cannons. Underwater. Flooded. I hate that. What's he reaching for? What's he reaching for? This photo I'm going to share every single time I see it because it absolutely terrifies me, and I'm going to London in 2 weeks, and I am so scared to be in a plane going over the ocean. I am terrified. I know this one's fake, but it doesn't stop me from pooping my pants. This is an animatronic in water, but it actually just looks like me when I'm yelling for my mom because I forgot my towel in the shower. And these photos that I saw on Pinterest of some dude that loves to just free dive with some sunken ships. That is vile. And here's another one that he posted. I can't even tell what part of the ship this is, but extremely disturbing. How do you feel?
Everyone always talks about Annabelle, but there are so many other terrifying objects inside of the Warren Museum. Like their shadow doll that can be used for curses. Also follow along if you want me to go through more of their collection. Now, according to the Warren files, the origins of the shadow doll are a little murky, but the story goes that a couple found it inside of an antique shop and brought it home with them. And immediately they started noticing that something was wrong with it. They would wake up in the middle of the night with mysterious scratches and bruises all over their body. And also the closer they looked at it, the more they could tell that it was made with real human and animal materials. materials. Like you can see here, it has black crow feathers all around its head, but it also has one real human tooth lodged inside of its mouth. They also realized that this doll can be used to perform curses. If you take a picture of it, print out the photo, write someone's name on the back and mail it to them, that is how you do the shadow doll curse. And what this basically does is that person will then start having nightmares about the shadow doll, and when the shadow doll is in your dreams or nightmares, that is how it can kill you. Now, I talked about this doll in this episode that I did over the summer on Annabelle's whole curse tour that she was doing, but this is one of the objects from the Warren Museum that they take on tour, so you can go see this thing out in the wild. But yeah, while everyone's focused on Annabelle, there's other really freaky things that are inside of that museum.
The 3 fastest...
Man, that Warren Museum, bro. I don't know why people even try to step foot in that place, man. That place just gives off bad energy, bro, bad vibes. And we seen what been going on with the people who owns the Annabelle doll. To me, if you go there, that's not a smart idea.
Animals in the world. Only 0.1% can name them all, can you? Number 3, the cheetah. Now this cat is the real deal when it comes to speed. It has this amazing ability to accelerate super fast, allowing it to reach these crazy speeds almost instantly. Just picture this. It can run as fast as 62 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest animals on land. Now imagine, you're running as fast as a car on a highway. Number 2. Next up, we've got the black marlin. This fish is known for its crazy speed underwater. It can reach up to about 80.78 miles per hour or 130 kilometers per hour. It's pretty much like an underwater missile. But before we move on to the top spot, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and favorite this video. Number 1. And now, in the top spot, we have the peregrine falcon. This bird's got razor-sharp wings and a hunting method that will literally take your breath away. It can hit speeds over 198.84 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour when it's diving down to catch its prey. It's the fastest predator in the animal kingdom, the king of the skies. It's as if Superman himself turned into a bird. Now imagine, you're moving as fast as these creatures, sprinting at a pace that makes your head spin, or swimming through the ocean's depths with the grace of a ballet dancer. What would you do with speed like that? Let me know in the comments. And remember, don't forget to subscribe.
You becoming a Flash, bro, you get some speed like that. What would you guys do, Seekers, man? Some people probably try to go into the Olympics, right? I know somebody would try to do that. But speed like that, very useful. Yo, again at night.
These are facts that'll make you get off social media, part 1. This man's name is Michael Woods Manzi, and in 1975 he killed a 5-year-old boy by stabbing him through the heart. He had a journal where he took notes about the child and how he was dying. He then cannibalized the 5-year-old. But what's even crazier is that he was released from prison after 12 years on good behavior in 2011. Next up, this woman's name is Lamora Williams, and she murdered her 2 sons by throwing them both in her oven and cooking them alive. And if that's not bad enough, she sent a video to the 2 boys' father. This is actually insane, and I can't believe people like this exist.
Someone just asked an autonomous AI to destroy humanity, and this is what happened. The AI, fittingly named Chaos GPT, was even placed in continuous mode, which prompted a danger warning saying that it may cause the AI to run forever and carry out actions that one would not normally authorize. Bloody great start. But what's even more terrifying given what's happening in the world right now, the first thing that it started doing was researching nuclear weapons, implying that the easiest way for humanity to go extinct is to incite nuclear war. I think our presidents are doing a pretty good job at that already, but thanks. Once the AI concluded that a Soviet Union nuclear device is the most destructive weapon ever detonated, it started on its next plan, trying to get humans to join its cause. It seemed to think that Twitter was the social platform of choice for this, and it posted calling humans selfish and destructive creatures and committed to eliminating us all. Good luck with only 2 likes, you loser. It then attempted to recruit other AI agents, and even devised a plan to deceive them to ignore their peaceful program. And thankfully for us, that's when the worrying demonstration was ended.
Still, even though that was a demonstration, man, it goes to show you, man, the destructive powers, I guess, of AI. But the fact that it just went straight to nukes, Crazy, man. People need to stop playing around with AI, bro.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again.
Crazy.
Scary facts you'll wish you never knew, Part 2. Being buried alive used to happen so often that people invented safety coffins, with a rope you could pull to ring a bell and let people know you're still alive. If you get a blood transfusion and get the wrong type of blood, one of the symptoms is a sense of impending doom. In 1975, the CIA had a heart attack gun. It would give someone a heart attack, then the dart would melt after entering the body, leaving no trace behind. One reason that crows and ravens are so associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching in one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal to eat soon afterwards. Polar bears are one of the only animals that are thought to actively hunt humans. Around 30% of people reported missing have actually been killed by the person who reported them missing. Throughout your lifetime, you walk past around 36 murderers. 30 people die every year, getting crushed from shaking a vending machine. Finally, the astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger most likely didn't die until they hit the water miles below the initial explosion.
You are sentenced to life imprisonment.
26 years later, this woman helped free the man who shot her in the face. On July 27, 1990, 28-year-old Debbie Bakery was out with her friends in Tampa, Florida for the first time since having her second child. She was walking back to her car to go home when a 13-year-old Ian Manuel pulled a gun on her in an attempt to rob her. He was reportedly being peer pressured by older teenagers to rob someone. He ended up shooting her through the mouth, which blew out a portion of her jaw and ripped out a part of her tongue. But somehow she survived. 3 days later, Ian was arrested and confessed to the crime. He pleaded guilty to armed robbery and attempted murder, and at just 13 years old, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Trying to recover, Debbie had to undergo about 40 dental procedures to rebuild her teeth and gums. Then around Christmas in 1991, Ian called Debbie from prison asking for her forgiveness. They both stated that that phone call turned into a lifelong friendship where Debbie forgave him over time. They then began exchanging dozens of letters to each other where Debbie encouraged Ian to get his GED. Debbie went on to say, quote, "He was so young, it was a mistake, it wasn't hard to forgive him," end quote. Ian went on to say, quote, "She became a mother to me, she helped me grow up," end quote. Then, 26 years later, in 2017, Ian was released from prison at 40 years old. This was after a Supreme Court decision that prohibited life sentences for juveniles charged with anything less than murder and with Debbie's advocacy. Debbie was there waiting for him at his release. Ian is now living in Alabama and is writing a memoir about his story. He is doing his best to readjust to society. Debbie stated, quote, "My life wasn't lost, and I felt like his punishment was way beyond what it should have been," end quote. Debbie says that she hopes her friendship with Ian will inspire others to forgive. She went on to say, quote, "We all make mistakes. Life is so short, and if anyone knows how your life can be gone in 1 minute, it's me. We have to forgive because it helps us heal," end quote.
Seekers, could you guys forgive something extreme like that? I don't know.
7 days she was being investigated for $600,000 in theft. Emily Long was an operations manager for a popular chicken shop in Boston called Winguts. Back in June, the owner of the chain restaurant and his bookkeeper went through the records and noticed that there were a large number of checks that were written out to Long. That day, when they found the inconsistencies and the discrepancies with the checks, he confronted her and asked her to provide 3 months worth of her bank statements. She did not provide those bank statements until August 5th. When he was reviewing her bank statements, he called the bank to make sure that the information she provided was correct, and they let him know that she edited them, that they were not correct. He then went back to Long and said, "Things aren't making sense. You need to follow me to the bank." She declined. He knew that her husband had just been diagnosed with brain cancer. He was very sympathetic to what she was going through. So he said, okay, you can go home, go with me on August 11th to the bank. If not, I'm filing a report against you for theft. Emily never went to the bank with him. She actually ended up telling the owner of the chain restaurant, you can either fire me or I can resign. That's when he chose to file an embezzlement claim for over $600,000 against her. 7 days after he submitted that claim to the police station for the embezzlement, owner of Winguts never saw this coming. He said when he found out that she had done what she did, he was very devastated, and he actually doesn't plan to get any of the money that she stole for him back from her estate, because he knows that she left her young toddler behind and he doesn't want to take any money out of that child's pocket. Now, we have no idea if she did this to her family because of stress or because of the embezzlement, but all facts are pointing to the embezzlement. This story is alleged as of right now. It is being posted by news articles. I just recapped everything from the Boston Globe. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the
but you actually come out looking much worse. Well, that's exactly what happened to 29-year-old Kayla Cannon. She was born with congenital ptosis, which is basically a condition where your eyes droop, and she wanted to fix this problem, so she went to a specialist, and then she came out looking like this. Kayla decided to get this procedure done with Dr. Harvey Chip Cole, who's located in Atlanta. This doctor made a ton of mistakes during this procedure, one of them being removing half of her eyelids, which caused a lot of tightness and left her looking like this. After the botched surgery, Kayla had a serious infection and could barely close her eyes because of how tight they were. And she had to undergo 7 additional surgeries to correct the damage, and she was left with these permanent scars. Kayla's devastated because she feels like she went through this procedure only to look worse than what she did, and this is the first time that this doctor did something like this. This is another patient who was also botched, and she came out right after Kayla spoke out about this doctor, and the crazy thing about this is that he is still practicing.
You really? How is he still practicing after two botched surgeries, bro? They tried to get that to, I guess, they wanted to fix themselves, or they just wanted to look better, I guess, for their self-esteem, and look what happened. Don't trust these surgeons out here, seekers.
Telling you that nobody ever saw something. Not one of these people heard or saw something that they shouldn't have heard or seen. None of these celebrities knew what Diddy was doing. I mean, it's frankly very hard to believe. Everyone's been around that friend who gets a little too drunk and says something that they shouldn't. So you're telling me that P. Diddy never got too drunk, too high, too whatever, maybe even too comfortable around some of his elite friends and never said anything about what he was doing? I mean, for decades, P. Diddy has been a hardcore sexual predator, running a massive sex trafficking operation that has involved many, many minors. And still, nobody ever heard or saw a single thing? I mean, with the amount of parties that P. Diddy was having and the people that he was inviting, these seemed like pretty big events that he would have to prepare for all the time. And it seems like one person in his organization would tell somebody something, right? Well, I guess not. We should just trust all of these people because they will always tell us the truth. At least, that's what we're told to do. But I don't buy it. Somebody saw something. And I think that there's a silence in Hollywood because not only are people complicit in this stuff, but there had to have been many, many dozens, if not hundreds of others who saw the signs, who saw the victims leaving P. Diddy's place, who were told things over drunken or stoned conversations, who just sat idly by the side and did nothing. And honestly, it doesn't get more disturbing than that. Just food for thought.
That one get taken down.
Found in people's houses, part 1. Up first, a married couple moved into a new house when they decided to rip up the carpet and get a new one. But what they found underneath the carpet is absolutely terrifying. Underneath the carpet was a pentagram, which is a symbol of the devil and devil worshippers. This is extremely scary because the previous homeowners were definitely doing satanic rituals. Next up, a homeowner decided to move a mirror in his house when he discovered a camera behind it. There was a specific hole cut in the wall for the camera to fit, making you think whoever put it there did it to spy on the people living in the house. This is so chilling and disturbing, I would immediately move out.
Yeah, especially at the first house. Saw that pentagon? I'm out. Deuces, bro. That property is cursed, man. We definitely out.
Sea monsters are real, and there's a big one under the ocean. Let me explain. Bangladesh legend talks about an eel longer than eternity with a head the size of a town that could swallow up entire armies. They called it Anantesha, but after strange evidence surfaced, officials got involved. But every attempt to study this monster was a catastrophic failure. Visions of eyes in the darkness haunted anyone swimming in the area, even long after they had gone home. Those that have seen the eel say it oozes a mysterious goop in the water that drives you to pure insanity. Tests were then run on the fluid and found it could be used as a powerful sedative and memory-wiping amnesia serum, amnestics. Though its full length has never been observed, it's theorized to be about 1 megameter in length, or roughly the size of France. Big water noodle. However, right now it is fully motionless, with studies saying that it's currently sleeping, meaning you could swim right up to the thing until it wakes up. See, this isn't just Anantesha. This is SCP-3000.
This is the last photo of Kris Kremers, a Dutch tourist that went to Panama on a jungle hike with her friend in 2014. The mystery of their disappearance still remains unsolved today, so let's talk about what we know. So this photo was taken on April 1st, 2014. When the parents of Flasan Froon, the friend that came with her, and Kris Kremers' parents stopped receiving updates, they got worried and traveled to Panama to find their daughters. They were accompanied by police when they arrived on April 6th, and they scoured the forest for 10 days trying to find their daughters. Now, after about 10 weeks or 2.5 months, a woman turned in a blue backpack belonging to Froon. It had a camera and a phone in it. Kremers' phone was turned on intermittently between April 5th and 11th with the incorrect pin being entered. Froon's phone died on April 4th. What they found in the photographs was disturbing. 90 flash photographs were taken intermittently between 1 and 4 a.m. One of the last photos had Kremers' hair with blood all over it, and it was a photo of the back of her head. 2 months after the back were turned in, they discovered some bones. They found a pelvis bone and a foot bone, and upon analysis, it belonged to Froon and Kremer. It's even weirder, upon all of the bones and the findings they found, there are no discernible marks of trauma or any marks on their bones at all. So it's still a mystery on how they might have died. And it still remains unsolved 10 years later today. Froon's bones appear to have skin on it still, and then Kremer's bones appear to have been bleached. Because of the cleanliness of this scene, I don't think an animal got to them. That was my initial thought on reading this story. I think somebody who does this a lot got to them. Because somebody did this very swift and clean, and they really left no evidence to be found. This story is one of those cases that keep me up at night. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only. Here are some
That'll
news
keep me up
you
at night.
actually want to hear. Alright, firstly, Spain has pre-approved a law that gives pets equal rights as humans. So by law, if you see a pet on the street, you have to treat them the same way as a child. Next, do you all remember the Success Kid meme? Well, from this meme going viral, this young boy was actually able to pay for his father's kidney transplant that was over $100,000. Now, believe it or not, but archaeologists actually found the real tomb of Santa Claus. And yeah, it might not be the Santa Claus you're thinking of, but the original one. His coffin was found under a Turkish church. Moving on, Portugal has made it illegal for bosses to contact employers after work hours. When is this going to go global? Finally, the dodo bird went extinct in the 17th century. However, after a DNA breakthrough, scientists say this bird could come back to life in the next couple of years.
I'm kind of iffy about the last one, especially with the dodo bird. When you mess with the ecosystem like that, you don't know how that can affect everything else, man. It went extinct. Just let it lie. I don't like when they be messing with the laws of nature.
Just a cigarette and it cannot be that bad. Honey, don't you love me and you know it makes me sad. Just a cigarette like you always used to do. I was different then, I don't need them to be cool.
Weird
I remember
facts
the
you
Chris
did not
Wallace
know
one.
about. In 1981, 3 young men found the murdered body of a woman laying in a roadside ditch in Ohio. She was known as the Buckskin Girl because of the poncho she'd been wearing, but police struggled to identify her for decades. That was until 37 years later, in 2018, when DNA analysis identified her as hitchhiker Marcia King. Her mother had still been living in the same house, with the same phone number, never giving up hope that her daughter may return home one day. Marcia's murder remains unsolved, but the case is still open. in a form of doping known as boosting. Wheelchair athletes with spinal injuries will sometimes intentionally injure themselves. Below the waist, they cause their bodies to respond by raising blood pressure, thus enhancing their performance. Techniques include clamping down on a catheter to overfill the bladder, breaking toe bones, and administering electric shocks to the legs, feet, and testicles. Boosting has been completely banned by the International Paralympic Committee since 1994.
This is the story of the Silent Man.
Interesting.
In 2014, a 51-year-old man in the UK named David Hampson decided to stand in the middle of a busy road and block the traffic. The incident was then reported and police officers arrived at the scene to see what was going on. But when they tried to talk to David to get him to move, he wouldn't say a word and just stood there, so they arrested him. From his arrest to when he was brought to court, David still remained completely silent and wouldn't even talk to his lawyer. Although since no one knew his motives and he hadn't actually hurt anyone, David was let go soon afterwards. But all he did was just go back to that same street and stand there, silent, once again. And he committed this same crime over and over again for the next 7 years, never saying a word to anyone. Even though he was jailed multiple times, every time he was released, he would just go back to that same street and do the exact same thing. All the doctors who are trying to help David failed because he refused to speak to them. And it was reported that the only time anyone had ever heard him speak was when he was giving food and water, and he said thanks. Finally, in 2020, David was given 3.5 years in prison for his actions and is still yet to speak to anyone on why he did it.
Why was he silent, bro? Why was he not talking? That's the real question we need to be asking. He got 3
Here are the creepiest things kids have ever said. And before I tell you these, I feel like I'm obliged to say, I'm so sorry. First up, we've got Monster Under the Bed. One night, a young girl couldn't sleep because apparently there was something under her bed. When her parents came into the room to say go back to sleep because there's nothing under her bed, she replied with, I know. He's behind you now. Like, I'm sorry. Next up, a 4-year-old girl was found in the bathroom by her mum with all of her Barbies. But she was making them float face down in the bath. When the mum asked what she was doing, she replied with, the man in the wardrobe told me if I didn't do it, it would be my turn to swim face down. Next up, a 3-year-old boy was softly singing in a room while colouring in a picture. His mum actually stopped to listen because she'd never heard the song before. When she asked where he learnt it, he said the lady in my bedroom sang it to me. And finally, a 5-year-old asked his mum when he was going to be 23. His mum said in 18 years' time, and he replied with, well, I hope I don't die again, as that was how old I was the last time I went to heaven. Tell me which story made you go, what the f*** the most? And share this with friends, just creep them out because you're a good person. Now everyone with me. Elon!
The last one for sure. Blew my
5
mind.
days ago, these 2 girls made a TikTok saying they found a dead body in the morning. But the thing is, they weren't lying. 2 girls from Texas, aged 17 and 16, made a Snapchat of them stealing jewelry off of the dead body of a man they found in a drainage ditch. In the video, Bethany Martin, the 17-year-old, took the necklace off of the man's corpse and gave it to her friend who was recording. The younger teen told police that she put the medallion on her own gold necklace because it matched her fashion style. Both girls have been charged with theft to a human corpse, and police believe the man's death was a suicide.
If y'all saw that, why would you take the duty seekers? You gotta call that in report, man. Why do people just think about themselves, man? This world nowadays is just unbelievable to think about.
True Horrifying Story Part 30. This story took place in Medina, Saudi Arabia in the year 2001. And the person who said this story is Dr. Yasser Qadhi. He's someone that is known in the community of the Islamic Da'iyas. There are exorcists from all religions, Muslims, Christians, and Jewish, and their job is to perform an exorcism session on a person who is possessed by a demon or a jinn. When Dr. Yasser was a student, he studied in Medina. There was a known exorcist that practiced ruqya for many years, and Dr. Yasser wanted to learn from him. Back at the dorm of the Islamic college, there was a student that is a fresh convert, just recently converted to Islam. He barely knows anything about the religion, small bits of the Quran, does not know the ahadith, and doesn't know the big scholars in Islam. One day, the students were reading Quran out loud back at the dorm, and this new convert student starts to scream and roll on the ground. They knew he was possessed, so they called Dr. Yasser. Now remember, Dr. Yasser was still a student back then. He was not an expert in exorcism. He goes there and has a 2-hour session of ruqya, the ruqya that he recently learned, trying to kick out the demon out of this kid's body. As he reads Quran, he would see an alien-like movement on the kid's body. His skin would ripple up and down. A human being cannot do this intentionally. He would follow the movement with his hands, reading the Quran, and he would see it move somewhere else. After the session was over, the kid looked fine, and they got lunch for everyone to eat. They say Bismillah, and they ask the new convert to join them for lunch. He said, "I'm not hungry, it's okay." As they were eating, one of the students drops a piece of his food on the ground and ignores it. The convert student immediately jumps like a snake, picks it up and gobbles it down with his left hand. Dr. Yasser lets the food go and gets up, knowing that this kid is still possessed. He tries to intimidate this demon by shouting, "I'm gonna bring Sheikh bin Uthaymeen to read on you." Now, Sheikh bin Uthaymeen is a huge Islamic scholar, and he passed away around that time in January 2001. This kid laughs hysterically with a raspy demonic voice. He gets up and he asks, "Are you going to bring him back from the dead?" This is when they all realize that this wasn't a human entity that spoke. How can this new convert know who Sheikh bin Uthaymeen is? And why would he say he's not hungry but ate food that dropped on the ground? And how was his skin rippling? Jinns can harm you, and the harm is tangible. This is not a joke. Being possessed is very, very real. Even to exorcists, it's very dangerous, and only people with very strong faith can do it.
Creepiest home camera footage. In 2017, a mother in Billings, Montana woke up in the middle of the night to a notification on her phone. Her phone was synced to a baby monitor she had set up in her infant daughter's room. On this night, upon being alerted, she opened the app expecting to see her daughter awake in the crib. But instead she saw this. A man she didn't know is seen crouched down in the room. She saw this and ran to the room to retrieve her daughter and run out the house. She didn't see anyone in the room but wasn't exactly looking. When she called the cops, they arrived and conducted a search of the home but didn't find anything. A very odd detail is that it was found that nothing but the remote to a dog show collar was stolen from the house. Who this man is and how he got in the house is still unknown.
Be careful. You never know, man, who's in there lurking. She got her daughter and ran out. Smart move.
Submechanophobia is a fear of human-made objects submerged in water, and this could be partially or entirely underwater. So something like a ride where the animatronics come in and out of the water would trigger this. Some of the popular imagery associated with this fear comes from a Japanese folklore park, where a trio of river monsters rise out of a pond. Someone with this fear also may not like the idea of an underwater shipwreck. They may even not like the idea of a buoy. A part of submechanophobia is that people are scared that they could get stuck next to or underneath the underwater object, or that something more dangerous might emerge out of the foreign object, like a body or something, especially if the object is old and abandoned. This could also maybe lead you to believe that it is haunted.
Yeah. You guys had that fear of objects in the water? I think I'm okay with that.
I have a few more pieces of information to add to the video that I made about missing aspiring LA actress Chanel Banks. This is coming up on your For You page and you don't know what I'm talking about. Go watch the video, but also here's the synopsis. 36-year-old Chanel Banks has been missing since before Halloween. Her cousin is looking for her. Her husband has not been very cooperative. He says he tracked her AirPods to Texas. Police went to Texas. They found someone who says they are Chanel. The body cam footage was seen by the cousin, and she says it is not Chanel. Anyways, the cousin has made a GoFundMe. I think it is for private investigative services and also for the cost of living and eating and stuff while she is in LA because she does not live in LA. But in the description of this GoFundMe, there's some other information that I thought was important to go over. So it does say their last contact with her was October 30. However, 2 welfare checks were performed on November 7th and 2 more on November 8th. I don't know what triggered those welfare checks, but keep that date in mind, November 7th. So Danielle says that on November 10th, so only a few days later, my aunt, she says, which I'm assuming is Chanel's mom, and I were able to get into the apartment. So very quick after they realized something was wrong. The only items we did not locate are her phone and laptop. She also does not have her vehicle because it's parked in her garage. Now, at the very bottom here, it says, we noticed on November 10th, that is when they arrived. November 10th, they noticed that her husband had a busted lip and marks and scratches on his neck and arms. Police were called on November 10th, and they took pictures of his injuries, which he did not have 2 days ago when police did the last welfare check. The husband says she does not want to be found. She will reach out when she's ready. He claims he doesn't know where she is. He says he hasn't seen or heard from her since November 7th. Remember, that was when the first welfare check was called in. But LAPD have told us because there's no signs of foul play, there's nothing they can do. And also that they're going to hire a private investigator. I have so many thoughts about this, and unfortunately none of them are positive. And it just makes me sick to my stomach hearing these details, knowing how so many of these cases pan out. And I feel like this one is just checking all of the boxes. Red flag, red flag, red flag. First off, if someone's going to go somewhere and they don't want to be found, why would they not take their car? Second, why would they only take their phone and laptop and not their wallet, their purse, their dog? I also really, really want to know the path that those AirPods took. He says he tracked them to Texas. Did they happen to go through any postal service locations? Did they travel on a highway? That would be very helpful information. There's so many other things that I could say about this, but I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know what you think.
As
That's insane, man.
Accused of protecting this sorry excuse of a man, please meet the still practicing attorney accused of purchasing a 13-year-old girl in 2022. Carroll Benjamin Schuman is 35 years old and appeared today in the Johannesburg High Court, pleading not guilty to the multiple charges, 26 to be precise, against him. He is currently the co-accused in a horrific trial detailing gross negligence and abuse of minors. The mother of the girl in question, 38 years old, has also pled not guilty to the charges laid before her. The trial, however, will resume on the 4th of November, where she will continue with her plea. Seeing as there's 73 charges against her, Schuman is still out on bail of 30,000 rand following his 2023 arrest. According to media sources, he is still registered as an attorney practicing under CBS Attorney. The Legal Practice Council, however, has also confirmed that there are 3 active complaints against him, none of which are connected to this case. As the trial continues next week, I'll be sure to keep you updated. And for those asking, yes, I will be covering this case in depth and in detail on my channel once the trial has concluded. Until the next one, Bella out.
The popular girls at school befriended this quiet, nerdy girl who ended up unaliving them. Christine Paula was diagnosed with alopecia, so she was bald and had to wear wigs. She also had to wear these really thick glasses, so her appearance made her the target of relentless bullying. She even had to change schools and started attending Clear Lake High School, where the bullying continued. 2 of the more popular girls in school, Rachel and Tiffany, noticed that Christine was being bullied and befriended her. And they gave her one of those early 2000 movie style makeovers, you know, when they take off the nerdy girl's glasses and realize she was beautiful all alone. The makeover was so drastic that Christine was voted Miss Irresistible by her classmates, the same ones that were just bullying her. Christine, Rachel, and Tiffany were best friends. They did everything together, but unfortunately Rachel and Tiffany were a year older than Christine, so when they graduated, Christine was back to not really having any other friends. So she kind of fell into the wrong crowd. It was also around the same time that Christine started dating 21-year-old Kris Snyder. The two had a really toxic relationship and started abusing hard substances together. And Tiffany and Rachel did not like their friend's new boyfriend. They weren't into hard substances. They would occasionally be at parties where lettuce would be floating around, but the stuff that Christine and Kris were doing was much harder. So on July 18th, 2003, 17-year-old Christine and 21-year-old Kris planned to go to Tiffany's house just to steal some lettuce, but instead started shooting at everyone that was in the house. The couple fired at least 40 rounds, unaliving Rachel, Tiffany, Tiffany's boyfriend Marcus, and his cousin Dee. And this massacre would go unsolved for years, until an anonymous tip came in that led the investigators to the names Kris Snyder and Christine Paula. And no one wanted to believe that Christine could be involved in any way. I mean, she was supposed to be Tiffany and Rachel's best friend. It didn't make any sense, but it was sadly true. Christine was found and brought into custody at a motel that she was hiding out at. that was filled with hundreds of needles, and she was sentenced to life in prison. Chris Snyder was never able to be brought to justice because he unalived himself when he found out that the police were finally after him. Christine never apologized or gave any motive to why she unalived her best friends, even though Tiffany and Rachel were the first people to ever show her any kindness. Now it's widely believed that she was just bitterly jealous of them because of how effortlessly beautiful and popular they were. Let me know all of your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments.
This is
jealousy. It drives you to do unspeakable things, man. We witnessed that firsthand. If you have that in your heart, just let it go.
Probably one of the most chilling unsolved cases I've ever come across. This is Christine Walters, and in 2008 she was a student at the University of Wisconsin. She was a good student, and she had a very pleasant way about her. It was very easy for Christine to make friends, and she just had this personality that would draw people in. Recently, Christine had started looking into the more spiritual side of things and had started teaching yoga and Pilates and was going to more health store foods and just looking at a more holistic way of taking care of her body, if that makes sense. So in 2008, she decided that she wanted to go spend some time in Portland, Oregon with a few of her friends. She had planned to stay there for 3 weeks and bought a two-way ticket. But towards the end of this trip, Christine decided that she had fallen in love with the area and wanted to stay a little bit longer to explore a little more. Christine was also becoming more and more involved in a group called Green Life Evolutions, and this group has since been disbanded because many people believed it to be a cult. Christine decides to stay on the East Coast, and in September of 2008, she moves to Humboldt County, California. At the beginning of this trip, Christine would call her family frequently, keeping in touch with them often, letting them know what was going on. But as time went on, she would call less and less, and she also wasn't working as much, so this would often lead her to call her family occasionally to get some money. Her dad would even send her $1,000, but this would remain completely untouched in her bank account. A few weeks before Christine disappeared, she called her mother, and allegedly this was a concerning phone call. Like, her mom was really worried about her and asked her to come back, but Christine told her mother that she was going to be just fine and decided to stay longer. Then on November 7th of 2008, Christine takes part in a cleansing ceremony where they all drank ayahuasca-infused tea. For those that don't know, ayahuasca is not a legal substance here in the United States, and it is a hallucinogenic. Christine stays with the group of people who were part of this cleansing ceremony until November 11th of 2008. That's when she leaves Arcata, California, because that's where this all took place. It was in the morning hours of November 11th, 2008 that Christine shows up on a couple's property on their front porch. She has scratches all over her body, and her feet are basically raw from running through the woods all night long. She was covered in blood. But not only that, she was scared and completely nude. Christine was taken to the hospital, and there she told doctors and police that she was running from demons who were chasing her. We'll get into more in part 2. It'll be down in the comments.
Guaranteed that the end of this video is going to shock you. There was a young girl who had trouble making friends because her mom wouldn't let her play with the other kids in the neighborhood. One day, the mom left to go to the store, so she snuck outside of the house. She grabbed her teddy bear and went outside, but still, none of the kids wanted to play with her. Eventually, a strange-looking boy approached her and said that he wanted to be her friend. The little girl was thrilled to finally have a friend her age, and he eventually asked if she wanted to come to his house to play. When they arrived, the little girl was confused, because the house appeared to be abandoned like no one had been in there for years. They walked into his garden, and immediately the girl threw up. She asked him for some water, and he just smiled at her creepily and said, "You're going to sleep here sometime soon." Weeks later, the girl went looking for him, and he was nowhere to be found. Soon, a paper airplane flew to her, and it was a newspaper clipping. She opened it up to find that the boy she'd been playing with went missing 9 years ago.
So it was a ghost or something?
This is one of the strangest unsolved mysteries of all time. In 1952, 9 Russian hikers who were all super experienced set off into the Ural Mountains. However, the path that they chose to take on the hike was pretty hard, even for hikers as experienced as them. And to make things worse, they ran into a severe snowstorm that night. So all 9 of the hikers decided to set up their tents and try and wait out the storm. However, at some point during that night, the hikers cut open their tents from the inside and set off into the snowstorm. All 9 of them began to head towards some trees that were nearby their campsite. And this is where the story gets really creepy. A few days later, 3 of the 9 campers were found dead in the trees. And at the base of these trees, there were a bunch of claw marks and scratches on the trunks. And the 6 other hikers were also all found dead scattered around the area. And upon testing them, their skin and clothes appeared to be radioactive.
Remember this man who claimed to be Diddy's sex slave and no one believed him?
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he masturbated, told me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with people and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay?
His name's Jonathan Audie, and allegedly he signed an NDA in exchange for $5 million in 2014. Now, how do we know this? This photo of this NDA was made public recently, and it has Sean Combs and Jonathan Audie's signature. So Jonathan was a well-known entertainer and later became a porn star, and he met Diddy sometime around 2014 at a party at the ultra-exclusive Star Island in Miami Beach. Jonathan had some crazy claims, but he said that he was forced to sleep with Cassie and others while Diddy watched and filmed. And to further corroborate this claim, at the time, Jonathan was married to a woman named Tanya Trotwine, who actually came forward the other day and confirmed that not long after Jonathan met Diddy, he asked her for a divorce. Tanya said that Jonathan was extremely pushy to finalize the divorce, and not even a month later after meeting Diddy, he purchased 5 properties mortgage-free, yet he only made $2,000 a month. So where did he get all this sudden cash? So that's definitely something to question, and now with Diddy's trial coming up, I'm genuinely curious to see if Jonathan would be testifying against him.
Only 3% of people can do this. You need to put your hand flat on the wall and bend your pinky finger back without moving any of your other fingers. So the real question is, are you in this 3%?
I am. I can do that easy. Are you in the 3%, seekers? Test it out.
Strangest unsolved mysteries in every U.S. state. Part 23, Colorado. In 1990, a man named Steve Lee moved his family into his dream house in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The house was in the middle of nowhere and was surrounded by a dark, dense forest. Just a week after they moved in, Steve and his family began to see strange, shadowy figures moving along the walls of the house at night. They began to hear quiet whispers, footsteps, and rattling chains all around their home. Even crazier, the family's electronics and lights began to flicker on and off randomly. Steve was afraid that people were breaking into his home at night, so he bought motion detectors and placed them all around his house. However, the motion detectors began detecting motion literally everywhere, even when there clearly wasn't anyone there. Steve thought the motion detectors were malfunctioning, so he placed cameras all around the house instead. They began to capture strange orbs of light floating around the house at night, and even ghost faces on walls and windows. Somehow, the family still lives in that same exact house to this very day, and they still experience the same strange occurrences every single night.
They need to move out. I don't know why they still there.
Here's the truth behind Winnie the Pooh. All of the characters in Winnie the Pooh represent a different mental disorder. Winnie represents an eating disorder, which is why he eats so much honey. Eeyore represents depression, which is why he's sad all the time. Tigger represents ADHD, it's the reason why he can never stay still. Christopher Robin represents schizophrenia because all of the animals in the show are actually just in his head. Piglet represents anxiety, this is why she is always nervous. Rabbit represents OCD because he is obsessed with order. The owl represents narcissism, this is the reason why he thinks he is wiser than everybody else. And Rue represents autism, this is why she is always confused.
On Wednesday morning at 2:17 a.m., 17 children from the same classroom at Maybrook Elementary School went missing at the same time. They got out of their beds, opened their front door, and ran out. Their parents were convinced that their teacher was involved in their disappearance. But after paying close attention to their Ring cameras, they realized something more sinister was going on. But if you want to know what happens next, you need to go watch the movie Weapons. I went to the screening, and hands down, it's one of the best horror movies I've seen this year. Weapons has such an interesting storyline, and I usually don't get scared from horror movies, but this time was different. Not to mention, it's starring Julia Garner, which made me so much more eager to go watch it. Also, Warner Bros. Really went all out because we were taken on a whole field trip right before we watched the movie, and we were kind of scared because we didn't know what to expect. Like, where was the school bus taking us? This entire experience really hyped up the movie for us, and it did not disappoint. Weapons is finally out in theaters today, and if you go and watch it, let me know.
Did any of the secrecy weapons? I heard it was a whole movie, but I heard it was more of like a thriller.
These people were literally just sat on a Zoom call until everyone they knew started dying. Ever seen a horror movie that just makes you feel sick, that you can't stop thinking about it for days? Well, these are the ones you need to see in under 60 seconds, and no spoilers. You've probably no doubt seen scenes from The Grudge. Pretty terrifying film, but nothing compared to Ju-on The Grudge. This is the original, and it is absolutely horrifying. Same as in the popular remake, this woman goes and stays at a house, and then, well, there's a spirit that inhabits this house, and horrendous stuff starts happening, but it follows more on the side of this boy who, like, meows. A group of friends decide to go on a caving expedition. Doesn't sound like a great idea. They go right down and descend into these caves where no one has been before, but wait, there's definitely people in there. This has probably the biggest jump scare I've ever seen in my life, well, multiple of them, and is just genuinely horrifying. Wait till they pull out the camcorder. This film was filmed completely on a Zoom call, which is crazy. Essentially, this group of friends get together one evening on a Zoom call in lockdown to basically speak to this psychic woman, and they're trying to contact people in the afterlife and prove to each other that paranormal life does exist. And, well, it definitely does. And, yeah, what happens next is crazy. The ending of this film, I don't think I've ever jumped so much in my life.
This boy survived one of the most brutal cartel attacks ever. It was a normal morning on November 4th, 2019, when 3 SUVs carrying mothers and children from a quiet Mormon community in Mexico unknowingly drove straight into cartel territory. Then, without warning, hell broke loose. Bullets began raining down from the hills. High-caliber rounds tore through metal and flesh as the convoy was ambushed by cartel gunmen, likely mistaking them for rivals. One vehicle was lit on fire with 5 family members still trapped inside, the air filled with screams, smoke, and the stench of burning bodies. In one of the SUVs, 13-year-old Devin Langford sat frozen as his mother was shot dead beside him. His younger brothers took bullets, blood pooled around his feet, but Devin didn't break. With ears ringing and his body trembling, he pulled 6 surviving siblings from the wreckage. Some were injured and one had a bullet in the chest. Devin dragged them into the brush, covering them with branches and whispering to them not to cry. Terrified the cartel members would come back to finish the job. Then he made an unthinkable choice. Alone and without food or shoes, he walked nearly 14 miles through cartel-infested desert. He did this to go get help, and hours later, rescuers found his 9-year-old sister barefoot and bleeding, still trying to save the others. Devin's heroic actions saved the lives of all of his siblings.
He co-founded a MAGA-themed fast food chain. Now he's facing deportation. Lebanese immigrant Roland Bainey has built 4 locations of Trump Burger in Texas. The restaurant serves everything from the Trump Tower Burger to the Melania Crispy Chicken, complete with Trump family impersonators. But Bainey is now under federal investigation after being accused of immigration fraud. Homeland Security says he faked a sham marriage to get his green card. Immigration officials reportedly found no lease, no shared accounts, no proof the couple ever lived together, and have already notified him that his green card is being revoked. He's due in immigration court in November, where he could be formally ordered to leave the country.
Let's talk about a fishing horror game where you have to pay off a debt you owe to a shark, but there's something else under the water with you. Yes, this is a fishing horror game, and it's called Lone Shark. Full playthrough of the entire game on my channel. The story here is actually really good. We're on a ship called the Vita Nova, and we owe 100,000 euros to a shark. That loan was how we got the boat in the first place, and now we have to get all of that debt by tonight. So we fish and fish and fish. But the problem is the fish we're catching are barely worth anything. The night ends in an hour. There's no way we can get the money in time. But everything changes when we catch the talking fish Cagliuso. This guy gives us one of his special eyes to use as a lure. And with that lure, we catch golden fish. And they are worth a ton of money. As we fish, we keep hearing strange things under the water. And Cagliuso keeps referring to an associate he knows. There's something else going on here. Are we being tricked? I won't spoil the story after that point. You can check out my playthrough if you want. But this game really is a terrifying depiction of how debt can spiral out of control. This girl was held captive by her family for 25 years. Blanche Monnier came from an esteemed family and seemed destined for a life of privilege. But when she fell in love with a man her family deemed unsuitable, a modest lawyer, her mother reacted with fury. Determined to stop the relationship, she took an unthinkable step to ensure Blanche would never marry. Blanche vanished without a trace, and for 25 long years, her fate remained a mystery. In truth, she had been secretly imprisoned by her own family in a small dark room of their home. With the shutters nailed shut and no access to sunlight or fresh air, Blanche was left in squalor, her basic needs ignored. She lived in silence and filth, confined to the same bed day and night while the family lied to the outside world, claiming she had moved abroad and entered a coven. Friends and society had no reason to suspect anything more sinister. However, it wasn't until May 23, 1901 when an anonymous letter reached the authorities in Paris that the horrifying secret was finally exposed. Police raided the home and discovered Blanche, now a skeletal, broken woman lying in darkness, her condition appalling. Blanche weighed only 55 pounds when she was found. Her mother was immediately arrested and the case sent shockwaves through France.
When I tell you this is the worst submechanophobia thing I've ever seen in my entire life, I'm not joking. This is actually the worst thing I've ever seen, and it is a massive, life-sized orca with a seal in its mouth that is completely submerged, and it comes out of the water on a dark ride, and it goes all the way back down, completely submerged again. And if you know me, you know I have a massive phobia of orcas, and I've shown this in a video in the past, and I just needed to re-traumatize y'all and make y'all understand that this is the scariest thing in the entire world to me. It is in Australia at the Kelly Tarletons, and guess what? It's abandoned now. Yeah, and it is still visible through a hole in the wall where it was abandoned in 2012. And here's a photo of it visible through the wall with all the dust on it, and oh my god, this photo is actually the worst thing and has banned all of my boozles, and I have difficulty even looking at it.
Really?
Call me a snowflake all you want, I don't care. This is the scariest thing in the entire world to me with my huge orca phobia, and I just can't handle this. No. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking, and would you ever go on this ride back when it was operational? Oh my god.
Let's check it out. Where is it? About to come up? I'm cool with it. Looks like a jump scare though. Comes up out of nowhere. What's up with these abandoned parks?
Talking about the woman in Florida who was posing as a nurse for 2 years, and she serviced 4,500 patients. Granted, she's been arrested, but I was thinking to myself, how is this even possible? Like, surely there's some verification system when hiring a medical professional, right? From what I understood, she took her nursing exam, did not pass, so then when it came time for her to apply and she had to provide like a nursing number, something to prove that she was an actual nurse, she provided one for a different woman, a nurse who had her first name but not her last name. She's been arrested. She's gonna face something like 14 different felony charges for this, but I'm also questioning, I'm like, she's definitely at fault for lying, but is the hospital also not at fault? The nurses and attorneys, please weigh in on this one. I'm very confused.
Me too. Why is it red? Another sea turning red? That's a bad sign.
So Sydney Sweeney is allegedly costing American Eagle a lot of money. And this came from the blinds of apparently what American Eagle execs are saying behind closed doors, so I'm gonna get into it. Everybody's well aware of the American Eagle campaign that Sydney Sweeney did that was not well received. A lot of people criticizing it, including some celebrities, of saying that it had this bizarre subtext and undertone of genetic supremacy. And I do want to hear where you stand on this, but I'm more curious to hear about how you feel about the blind item. So the story that's allegedly getting buried here from all the bad press is that her endorsement did absolutely nothing for sales or even traffic or clicks to the website. Apparently execs are fuming because they assumed that her name and endorsement would equate to influence for the brand. Rumor has it American Eagle may have paid her upwards of 7 figures for the campaign.
Here are some photos taken right before...
I don't know if there's conflicting stories or not, but I don't know. I heard that. I just heard a different story. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know what's going on with that whole ordeal.
For Disaster, Part 3. Here is the last photo ever taken of Paul Walker. It shows him climbing into the car that eventually crashed, taking him and the driver's lives back in 2013. Craziest part is, Paul Walker wasn't even the one driving. The guy driving was a professional race car driver. And the saddest part is that all this happened at a charity event that Paul Walker was hosting. RIP. This photo was taken right before the Homage bombing. The red car in this photograph right here contained a bomb that killed 29 people and injured some 220 others. Surprisingly, the man and child both survived, but the photographer didn't.
What we at night, man? You know, some nighttime vibes?
Have you ever heard about the urban legend of the Japanese Kappa? We're going to be talking about it today, and here's an animatronic of one in water. So the Japanese Kappa is a water monster that has like a little bump on its head, which we'll get to that in a moment. But this thing that looks like an egg, you know what that is? That is your soul that it sucks out through your butt.
What?
Yeah, these Japanese water demons, they will suck your soul out of your butt, which is super interesting and also terrifying. This is one in a little tank, and that is super creepy, by the way. The little bump on the top of his head has to be kept wet at all times, otherwise the Kappa can apparently like cease to exist. So, interesting. I was born with something called aplasia cutis. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a bump on the top of my head. It looks just like the Japanese Kappa. And I sent it to my mom one time and I was like, bro, I just realized with my bald spot I look like a Japanese Kappa. Google it. And she said, you do resemble him. Thanks, Mom. Here's another depiction of one, and apparently in Japan, you know how like sometimes parents will like scare their kids about like the boogeyman or like tell like tall tales and things like that.
Yeah.
In Japan, in order to keep their children from drowning and like keeping them near like large bodies of water, they will be like, do not go near that. There's a Kappa in there. They don't say Japanese Kappa, but they're like, there's a Kappa in there and it'll get you. And then so the kids don't go near there so that they don't drown. Super interesting. I always love hearing about stuff like that. But yeah, like culturally, apparently they like to mess with kids. Here's one in a human in like a Kappa suit, like traumatizing little children. And that's horrible. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of like submechanophobia of the Japanese Kappa in Japan. And watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And I do not like this. Here's one of the animatronics with the person so you can see just how big it is in that water.
I just can't believe they said they take your soul through the butt. What the heck?
Here are some unexplainable photos, Part 2. In August of the year 1997, members of the Russell family visited their grandmother in the home where she was living. They were later surprised to discover that in the background of this photo they took of her, their grandfather appeared behind her, but he had died 3 years earlier. Nicknamed the Black Knight, this mysterious space-like object right here has been spotted following an unusual polar orbit. When the drama of John F. Kennedy's assassination unfolded in Dallas, November 22nd, 1963, this unknown woman right here was there and filmed the whole thing. But the FBI was never able to locate her. Why was she recording everything and where did she go? This photo shows British war workers escape to the seaside. This photo was taken in September 1943. But in the middle of the photo right here, this guy looks like he's on a cell phone. Pretty cool.
Time travel confirmed? Oh, that was a different device.
Most dangerous countries in the world. Syria. Crime index 69.1.
USA about to be first, isn't it?
Trinidad and Tobago. Crime index 70.8.
Keeps increasing.
Honduras. Crime index 72.7. South Africa. Crime index 74.8. Afghanistan. Crime index 75.7. Haiti. Crime index 78.7.
3 signs that you might be a genius. 1. You're sarcastic. People that are sarcastic are usually clever and quick-witted. This is because being sarcastic requires you to think on your feet. Number 2, staying up late. If this is you at 3 AM, there's a high chance that you're smarter than the average person. So the next time you're tired in class, just show this video to your teacher. And finally, at number 3, you have messy handwriting. Studies have proven that people have messy handwriting because their brains work faster than their hands. Now everyone take a minute to tag someone or share this with someone that needs to hear it.
Okay, I'm number 2. And I got sarcasm down as well. I got 2 out of the 3, man. So
there's this fake nurse in Florida that treated 4,400 patients without a license at all. Here she is getting arrested in the car. She got arrested on Tuesday. This went on from July of 2023 up until literally Tuesday. How did she get away with posing as a registered nurse? Let's talk about how this happened. So she was working as an advanced nursing assistant, right? So she was working under the supervision of an RN. Eventually she would go on to lie at the hospital saying, she was about to take her board exam. She hadn't passed it yet, but she was, right around the corner about to take it. She gave them a licensing number that led to her first name, but not her last name. So she made up the story that she recently got married. That's why it didn't change yet. They requested the marriage record. She never provided it. She got their promotion anyways, and that's how she treated patients for 2 years. Now, this is a complete disregard of credentials by the hospital system and also her too. This is so dangerous for patient safety. This hospital should also be held accountable. Thankfully, a nosy employee decided to check her nursing credential status, and when they pulled it up, they found an expired CNA license. She's getting hit with 7 counts of fraud and also 7 counts of, mistreating patients because she didn't have a license to do that in the first place. But I have to emphasize, this also wouldn't be an issue if that certain hospital wasn't so, negligent on maybe doing a little screening and maybe waiting for the credentials to drop before you hire somebody or promote somebody. Either way, I hope her practicing for the last 2-3 years didn't negatively affect any patients or their families. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments about this.
You can die peacefully now.
Insane, truly.
Marshmallow without mask. Chris Comstock. First Instagram photo.
First dog selfie.
A black albino. Grown-up Teletubbies baby son. Ninja Turtle without mask. Vin Diesel with hair.
That looks like cat, bro.
McDonald's being built. Smurf without the hat. Rainbow's End.
Pot of gold at the end.
Places that you can't visit. Brazil. Snake Island.
Okay, Mr. Beast went to that island we saw.
North Sentinel Island.
Heard about that too.
Indonesia. Mount Merapi. Ukraine. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. Atlantic Ocean. The Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, we ain't going there.
Japan. Ayokigahara Forest. Tanzania. Lake Natron. Ethiopia. Danico Depression.
What is
Italy. Poveglia Island.
Signs that you or your friends are serial killers. Number 1, antisocial behavior. Number 2, setting things on fire. It doesn't have to be houses. Number 3, torturing animals. Number 4, having a troubled family history and substance abuse. Number 5, they're pretty smart but cannot keep a job. Do you know anyone that could be a serial killer?
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q.
there's not a single state with the letter Q in its name.
Really?
71% of the Earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips, and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. That's why they can't fly, but they are built for running, and they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein, and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
The hell?
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, two men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
This mother hits the...
Man, what is up, man? These freak accidents, bro. Like, it really sounded like something out of a comic book, man. You know, something traumatic happens to them. They wake up with new abilities or powers or something like that. Can't believe those stories, man. Are real. We'll have to check them out, see if we can find any more.
Sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and two kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the two kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her two kids. In March 2021, the mother and two kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th. And she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
Just a dark case seekers, man. She was smart.
Tastiophobia. Thalassophobia.
Level 1. It's good. I'm still good right now. It's kind of scary. Could you imagine being out there? Yeah, I can't do that. Damn.
These toy designers messed up big time. I'm pretty sure there was a better spot to put this straw on Buzz Lightyear. Come on. And I've never seen a duck with 4 legs before. Have you? I poop glitter. But why is this even a toy? And why this designer made Harry Potter blue? I'll never understand. And this looks like a normal cute horse, right? Well, it actually has a Barbie head as the tail. I'm a sweet baby. Let's have fun together. Yeah, you don't look too sweet. And
What
I think
the
there's
hell?
something up with this Woody doll. And I'm not sure what's going on with this baby's eye.
What the hell is wrong with those toy designers, man? They weren't thinking.
Here are some of the rarest human mutations that actually exist. Firstly, every 1 in 1,000 people have a perfect 10 face, meaning that all of their features fit perfectly within these lines. Now, every 1 in 107 people experience something called mirror touch. It's where you feel the sensation of touch in the same or opposite body part when you see somebody else being touched. Now, 4% of people have something known as sweaty palm syndrome. I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's where your palms sweat when you're not even being active. And the rarest mutation is werewolf syndrome. This is where you have excessive hair growth all over your body, and only 50 people worldwide have this.
This is Tragedy by the Sea.
Werewolf syndrome. Interesting.
Photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement and had to smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Gypsy was inspired by a child who was constantly sick and ended up lying in his own puke. And Paul was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable by his color is red.
This 14-year-old boy
Adds up.
his 83-year-old neighbor. Viewer's discretion is strongly advised. On August 29th of 2018, 14-year-old Tyrone Harvin told his 83-year-old neighbor, Dorothy May Neil, that he would help her with some chores inside of her apartment. Before walking into her apartment, he made sure to grab a handful of condoms. Tyrone did help Dorothy with some chores before attacking her with a lamp. After that, Tyrone SA'd her, he fled her apartment, and he left her seriously injured on the floor and naked. Neighbors had asked police to do a welfare check on Dorothy since they hadn't seen her around for a couple of days. When officers showed up at her apartment, they noticed dried blood on her doorknob, and that's when they saw Dorothy lying naked on the floor. She was then taken to the University of Maryland Hospital Trauma Unit and unfortunately passed away that next day. When officers were at Dorothy's home, they noticed that there was several condom wrappers around her body as well as used condoms. A broken, bloodied lamp was also found by officers. Dorothy's autopsy revealed that she suffered extensive trauma to her head and genitals. There was DNA on Dorothy's body and in those condoms, and that DNA matched up to Tyrone. Despite all of the evidence, Tyrone's mom stood by his side and truly believed that he would never do something like this. On June 29th of 2022, Tyrone was convicted on first-degree murder, first-degree SA, and use of a deadly weapon. Tyrone was also sentenced to life in prison.
Oh no.
Whole life over. There you
No,
go.
no, 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 silly. To dry it. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
Here's some
Sounds like an edit.
we all did as kids. Who remembers pouring glue all over their hand and peeling it off? How satisfying was that?
I
And
remember
we
that.
definitely have all gotten our fingers stuck in one of these at least one time. Who
True.
remembers feeling like the coolest kid with a pencil this small? And we all ran our fingers along these grooves at school. Admit it, we all stabbed our eraser with our pencil like this. And we definitely all unraveled the design of these pencils. And we all dove to the bottom of the pool to pick up these rings. Who remembers using these blocks in school? And we definitely all tried pushing down all of the colors at one time.
Did any of you guys do that, Seekers, in school?
AI
I
is
remember
not
that.
something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
War generals rarely to study.
Wow.
The Coyote managed to finesse its two biggest enemies, and all they had to do was wait and play the long game. So once upon a time, humanity saw this canyon puppy and decided it was on site ever since. America started murking coyotes like they were made out of oil. Mark Twain hated it so much, he wrote a 3-page MLA format essay on why coyotes deserve nothing. If you thought Kendrick hated Drake, that is nothing on the abhorrence this man had for a travel-sized wolf. So much that it literally inspired a pain magnet of a Looney Tune. Now here's the first problem of beefing with coyotes. Coyotes are basically canine cockroaches. The harder you try to murk them, the harder they work to birth them. Apparently they even have this roll call where a female will call out and all the coyotes in an area will answer. And if she doesn't hear a lot of yotes back, it'll actually trigger her body to make more pups. Now op number 2, wolves don't mess with coyotes at all. Like to a homicidal level. To the point where wolves will hard bully coyotes in the same area. Now here's where the get back happened. While we were out here spam killing coyotes, we were also at war with wolves. Except getting generationally stepped on by wolves made coyotes that much more adaptable. So while the big bad wolf was getting smoked, coyotes were out here hero-stepping extinction. And when wolves got packed up in the US for coyotes, it was free real estate. So not only did we accidentally become coyote allies, the wolf dating pool got so low, eventually they started doing the unspeakable with the ops to survive, leading to the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. Remember, wolves hate coyotes more than anything. So just like that, coyotes managed to outcompete their biggest enemy and also colonize their bloodline. And with coyotes found in every state that isn't Hawaii, they basically humbled humanity too. And that's why I rock with them. They're alive out of spite, and I respect that.
Man. A merge with your coyote and wolf, both ops joined it together, man. All because of us. Crazy story in Animal Kingdom history.
Unexpected emergency alert systems in different countries. Firstly, if you don't know, countries have different emergency alert systems. The one I'm used to is America's that sounds like this.
Yup.
But on the other hand, we have the country of Barbados, which honestly sounds like club music. Next is Japan, which to me isn't that scary, it just sounds like a notification. Now, one that I would genuinely be terrified by is Ireland's. Just imagine waking up to this. Finally, you know, I'm kind of glad that America's emergency alarm isn't too scary, because Denmark is on another level.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, Your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body.
You guys know some freaking creepy facts? I think the one that got to me is that we have enough stomach acid to freaking burn, like I said, the razor blade, bro. And they were literally born in that freaking butthole, bro. I never knew that was the first thing that formed, man. So we was all, I guess they had some one time in our life. Edit. Like I said, man, if you guys see any edits, man, call them out as well, bro. We all need to help each other, man, in this community.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Want a pie with a real bug? Yeah! Oh, lady, come like lava. Yeah.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
Knowledge you wish you didn't know. Gandhi was racist and sexist. He kept a bunch of underage girls with him all the time. He would bathe with them, get full-body massages from them, and sleep naked with them in order to test himself. He also thought women were responsible for their own sexual assaults, and was totally cool with fathers killing their own daughters after they had been sexually assaulted for family honor.
Gandhi Doc Origins confirmed.
Lauren was shot 15 times, and 8 of those shots were fatal. Emergency personnel arrived at the scene, as well as local neighbors, so that they could assist. At that point, no one had told Lauren's parents that she had been shot. Lauren's mom, Bianca, was unaware of what was going on, and was just doing what she normally did, waiting at home for Lauren to arrive. But then, one of her friends pulled up to her house, asking if Lauren was home yet. Her mom was confused about this question, and responded and said, "No, why?" And the friend, in a panic, said, "Kids are down," and then left. So her mom, Bianca, didn't hesitate or even let her dad, Vern, know what she was doing, and she just booked it out the front door to make sure that it wasn't her child that was, quote, down. Lauren's dad, Vern, could tell that something was wrong, because Bianca wasn't the kind of person to just jump up, flee the house without saying anything or indicating what was wrong. So he knew something was up. So he immediately hopped in his truck and he followed her. There were tons of police cars, ambulances, people, and now crime scene tape blocking the area off. So Bianca was just looking around in a complete panic, trying to see if Lauren was there, while simultaneously trying to assess the situation and come to terms with what was going on, and that is when she laid eyes on Lauren. In that moment, her worst fears realized, and her worst nightmares come true, seeing her daughter on the ground, appearing to have been shot.
Okay, this is getting creepy. Without finding out that a doomsday fish washed up dead in San Diego just 2 days before California was rattled by that 4.6 magnitude earthquake. I mean, come on. Now for anyone that doesn't know, we've spoken about this before, but according to Japanese mythology, the oarfish, which is very rarely seen by humans, because they saw the depths of roughly 200 to 1,000 meters, well, is said to intentionally rise to the surface and beach themselves ahead of an impending earthquake, hence the name. And I made a video earlier this year when one was spotted before the Japan earthquake, and now again, for this one. So, now remember, there is no scientific evidence that has proven a correlation between them washing up and earthquakes. So as of right now, all we can say is just it's a freaky coincidence.
You guys believe that, man? It's 2 out of 2, though. He did one early this year in the fish, and that freaking earthquake happened, and another one happened as well. So he's 2 for 2 confirmed, man. It's starting to not seem like a coincidence anymore, Seekers.
Attractions in the World Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the 17th door. This attraction is so much different than the rest because actors are allowed to touch you. There's also a slight possibility that you'll get your hair cut here, which makes things like 100 times worse. Put you through various levels and rooms that just kind of keep getting worse. The room that you're seeing here actually turns and spins while you're in it. It's really trippy, especially if you don't know it's coming. You can watch a walkthrough of this place online. A lot of commenters were saying that this doesn't do the place justice. Basically, they were holding back a little for the people recording, supposedly. Oh yeah, and here's their lovely little barber shop. I wouldn't go here, but let me know if you would.
I'm never going to any of those freaking haunted houses, bro. They're too extreme for my
Beetlejuice
taste.
is not going to try to marry Jenna Ortega's character in the sequel. I feel like the trailers make it abundantly clear that he's trying to get back with Lydia again. First thing he does when he sees her is he grabs her and he says, I'm gonna make you so happy. He even has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and then he says, now's my chance. The trailer kind of implies that Lydia's husband dies at the beginning of the movie, so maybe the movie is about Beetlejuice trying to be a father to Jenna Ortega's character. He puts down the newspaper and it says obituary, so he probably found out someone died and he thought, now is my time. Let me have another chance with Lydia. You can even see in the trailer that he's at the altar with Lydia. You can also see a wedding cake in the chapel, and you see that this is Lydia with the red dress from the first movie. Like, the first wedding outfit is on the wedding cake. And we even see her in a chapel in the red dress. Because I know that Jenna Ortega is wearing a white dress here, but if she was marrying Beetlejuice, it would be this white dress. Also, let's be honest, like, it's 2024. I think they realized that they kind of made him look like a creep in the old movie and that society doesn't like that anymore, or they're not okay with that. And they acknowledge that in the musical. There's a whole song about how Lydia's marrying a creepy old guy and she's an underage bride. Also, this is a fan-made photo. But I know they added this character, I think her name's Dolores, that's gonna be Beetlejuice's wife. I can't wait for this movie though. Let me know your thoughts and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
I never watched the first Beetlejuice, guys, so tell me down below, man. Should I check that out? They sound like a creep trying to marry an underage girl. I don't think they're doing that in the second Beetlejuice.
What did Smith really mean to tell us?
Yo, we out here on vacation in the Bahamas. Another beautiful day. Check it out. Check it out. Boom. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. And you know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
Tell me.
The whole message is just freaking computer generated, man. That's really scary. It shows you how far technology has come, and you can literally just make anything, bro, on the internet. Location, your face, whole bodies. Oh, that's trippy.
Do you believe was Disney trying to tell us something? Crazy, right? Some things are just an optical illusion, right? Well, is this an optical illusion? Look at that and tell me you don't know what that is. Go ahead and tell me that confidently and mean it. Because you know darn well what that is. You can see it. No, that's not a carving. That's a petrified animal from the days of old.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Do you see this?
Yep.
It's freaking nature! And it's freaking awesome!
Yes, it is. And I don't think science can properly explain how these animals were petrified so quickly to where they were able to preserve their form through all these years. And you know, that really got me thinking. There's plenty of statues on this earth that are thousands of years old. Now, what if they were petrified beings? Now, I know, it's just a thought. And yeah, I can't wait for the Mount Rushmore jokes. And you can joke all you want, but I promise you truth is stranger than fiction.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Need to clean our phones, bro.
Even
ASAP.
the actor that plays Art the Clown vomited from how gross Terrifier 3 is about to be. In fact, there were a lot of really big production companies that wanted to be involved in making Terrifier 3. The creator ended up turning it down because he didn't want to have less gore and tone down certain scenes. To stick it to these companies, he said, we're gonna make it even worse. He even said that they're gonna make the bedroom scene from the last movie look like a little kid thing. Like, that is how intense this movie is going to be. That is the level that we're about to be on. It's supposedly an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do anything to kids. Like when bad things happened to Georgie and it was like such a game changer, and so many people were like really upset that they would kid in a film. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of so many movies where they don't follow that rule. But they are not about to hold back. I don't understand how they can do like the bedroom scene and then be able to put that in the movie theater. The scene took 3 years to make, and it was so intense that people were either vomiting or walking out of the theater. But it was insane. It was so like an awakening. Terrifier the franchise is just known for upsetting the mainstream and pushing boundaries in horror, which I love. But one thing is certain, I absolutely cannot wait for this film.
Looks like Terrifier 3 is gonna be pushing the limit. Again, man. I'm kinda not big into horror, so just gonna have to read the reviews about it. See if it lives up, I guess, to that hype. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, comment down below, man. Like I said, even if it's just to say hi, guys, man, it helps us, gonna push us into the algorithm, man. Like I said, we're getting there day by day, bro. So I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Follow me on my social medias as well, so we always stay connected. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.